Hey guys, it's me. I'm back with another episode of KSP Resurgence. This time we're going to Cili. It's an asteroid orbiting the Sanctar system, and it's a really interesting place. It's kind of like Gilly, except it's gray, and it's not orbiting a big purple planet. Currently designing my lander here. It's going to be a direct ascent lander. There isn't really a reason to do a Apollo-style mission in Kerbal Space Program unless you're going for style points, at least in the stock system. If you're if you're like doing a interplanetary mission with a mothership, then you should do that. But if you're just doing a Mingus landing or a Mung landing, you probably don't have to do it unless you're in a rescale system where you need more fuel, more delta V for everything. I did a playthrough of JSQ once. If you don't know what JSQ is, it rescales all the planets in the stock system by 2.7 times, as well as adding a few others and revamping everything. So it's a good mod. Would recommend. My only complaint is that the configs for Parallax Continued are really glitchy, and half the time they end up looking really bad. But it's a good mod. This is a really long rocket assembly because I was exploring all the options, so I sped it up 3 times just to not waste your time. I believe this video is going to come out to be like 20 minutes still. Can't forget the mandatory NASA text. If you're wondering where the text is from, it's from Conformal Decals. It's a mod that lets you add decals that wrap around your craft. So it could be text, it could be an image. You can even add your own custom images and, of course, flags. Procedural fairing from the Procedural fairing mod. It's a great mod. You gotta auto start it though, or it won't work. I'm playing with the mod Chemical Technologies. It basically removes liquid fuel and oxidizer and monopropellant, replaces them with more realistic fuels like kerosene, hydrogen, liquid oxygen, hydrazine, a bunch of other stuff. And it makes the Bobcat and the Cheetah engines actually hypergolic engines, so they use hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide or any other hypergolic fuel, which ignite on contact with each other, just like in real life. And also, you don't have to expend any resources to ignite them, whether it be electric charge, starter fluid of some sort. I did have an engine plate for a 2.5 meter engine plate, but I decided to have the engine stick out a little bit like that, just because I thought it looks better. Now, I did end up making a few changes to the rocket off camera, just because I wanted to add a bit more fuel, but other than that, it's completely fine. Maybe noticing we're using a different fuel for the solid rockets this time. So Chemical Technologies, the base mod, adds 2 solid rocket fuel options. The first one is the most basic one, I forgot its name. It's a long one. Both of them are long names. But eventually you unlock the second one, the tech tree, like in heavy rocketry or something like that. And it allows you to, in the fuel, it just gives better ISP, better thrust, so it's just better in every way. I think it may be lighter also. We got thruster separation. Oh, and I also did replace the engines, the lifter engines, with some sustainer engines. The lifter engines are inspired by SpaceX's Raptor sea level engines. If you want them, they're from the Cryo engines mod, but they are, as of now, soft deprecated, so either you can go in a secret menu and find them, download another mod, or you can just use an old version of the mod, which is what I do. These new sustainer engines I replaced them with are from the mod Cryo Engines Extensions. It's a good mod if you like cryo engines but just want more engines. I got some lifter Hydrolox engines, some more sustainer Methalox engines, even some orbital class Methalox engines. Not like the deep space ones, but like they're orbital ones. That's what they're called. They're similar to the Terrier and the Poodle and fill similar niches. So they're small and you don't need big landing legs for them. I'm not sure if I've used them yet in the playthrough, but I certainly have unlocked them. Got fairing deployment and solar panel deployment. I must warn you, if you are using procedural fairings, be careful when deploying the fairing, because if you're turning around your spaceship and deploy the fairing, it could cause a massive cracking attack, so be really careful. Well, it shouldn't really do it that bad. I just have persistent thrust installed, which lets me time warp and have my engine running at the same time. But it's incredibly glitchy. Even if I'm not actually time warping, it'll still glitch out. So sometimes my spaceship will snap into place to the node, to whether it be prograde, radial in, radial out, whatever I have it set to. Instead of turning there, just snap there. To save fuel, I'm kind of like trying to do a weird jank maneuver here to try to have our inclination change a little further out, because you don't need as much fuel to do an inclination change when you're far out. Cili is really inclined, so it's kind of harder to get to than, say, Krob or Alia. And I managed to get an encounter just by winging it there, so that was pretty cool. I don't think I need to do this maneuver just to save a few hundred meters per second of fuel, because I did end up overbuilding my lander. It's better to have too much fuel than too little. Another weird glitch with persistent thrust is sometimes it won't let me time warp. Other times, if I'm trying to aim towards target retrograde, it'll put me towards orbital retrograde over and over. I talked about this in a previous video. Mingo also having higher ranking Kerbals, it's still just Jebediah, Bob, Bill, and Valentina. I want to change it out, but I actually want to have like Kerbal applications for like where you guys, the viewer, actually suggest Kerbal names. Burger's almost complete. Yeah, so as I was saying, I think a Discord server would really be nice, especially so I can do those Kerbal game applications. I'm not sure if I want to start that yet, because I'm not sure if I have enough subscribers or anybody willing to join this server. If you have any ideas, please comment, and also please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Liking and subscribing helps out a lot. It tells the YouTube algorithm that people like my videos. We are doing our first science around Cili. I unlocked the EVA Science experiment. So that's what I used. If you're wondering where the command pod is from, it's from Near Future Spacecraft. Now, if you're wondering where the engines on this are from, it's from I believe it's from Benjee 10's like common parts mod. So if you like install one of his other mods, like PlanetSci, I'll install those engines also. So something weird that I forgot to add batteries on this, so I couldn't transmit anything. But I was able to get my antenna to allow partial transmissions. So because it will broadcast like a little bit of it, then like stop for a bit when it runs out of power. Then when it recharges, it'll broadcast to the rest of it. That's something really handy that KSP has that a lot of you guys may not know about. You just gotta right click your antenna, click require complete, and click it so it says allow partial. Now, in case you didn't notice already, Cili is a very small body with very low gravity. I previously said it's just gray gilly. Pretty nice texture. I like how there's a mix of bright and dark colors on it. Not colors, it's all gray. I landed in this kind of small canyon, like it's in between two mountains. Parallax continue being beautiful as always. If you have any mod suggestions, please feel free to comment them. I'm always on the lookout for new mods to play with. Just don't suggest any life support mods, at least for this playthrough. I'm not going to do them. I wasn't thinking about doing life support mods because I just don't want to deal with it. And even if I were to try them, I wouldn't do it on this playthrough because adding a life support, even if well, there are no vessels that are currently occupied, but still, I think adding a life support mod in the middle of a playthrough is going to be a very bad idea. Not the worst, but I'm just not going to do it. One thing I really don't like is that how sometimes the flags on that are built in with parts, they always glitch out for some reason. If you don't know what Z-fighting is, it's basically when you clip an image in, like a part into another part in like a game development engine, or anything with 3D modeling, and it just the renderer doesn't know what to show you, so it just shows them you both at the same time, with like flashes between them. It's really annoying. It also kind of happens with waterfall engines sometimes, with engines with the waterfall 3D plumes. I kind of minimized that by disabling anti-aliasing. Here's a cool thumbnail shot, by the way. If you have like TUFX or anything, you should disable like anti-aliasing on that, because I think that causes the issues. Because when I turned them off, it actually fixed my issue to an extent. Now I forgot to do my EVA Science on the surface of Cili, so here we go. I'm going to send a golf ball on an interplanetary trajectory. Well, it's not going to go interplanetary, it's at least going to go out of Cili's sphere of influence, because I'm sure Bob just knocked that golf ball on an escape trajectory. Here's a nice little tour of our very cramped living quarters. It's a 2-seat, 1.25 meter cockpit, so it's going to be a little cramped. Now, I'd really love there to be like mods that give more attention to more exotic. I think I already talked about this in another video, but I would love to see a 1.875 meter cockpit. I mean, I already in addition to the stock command pod, but we already kind of have that with missing history, but it's kind of dated, to be honest. It's just not really, doesn't really, I like missing history, but it just doesn't really look like the restock art style. It is compatible with Textures Unlimited Recolor Depot, though, which is how I'm recoloring all these parts. I mean, everyone else is using simple repaint, but what I don't like about simple repaint is that a lot of the time it recolors the entire part instead of like certain areas of it. I just did a weird science experiment there because if I'm using the EVA pack, it thinks I'm in space low instead of landing, so to avoid doing any experiments low, I just did that. This is our final Biome Hop. We're doing 3 Biome Hops to maximize our science gains. Kind of panicked here. I thought I was going to crash, but it turned out to be perfectly fine. I apologize if it's too dark for you guys. If you think the colors are a little different, that's because I turned on HDR. I had it off because macro app I used, I was playing Roblox, like didn't like HDR. case you don't know what a macro is, it's basically an automated app that like pushes in buttons for you, so you can like go AFK in a game and still like make stuff off of it. So if like a game's like really grindy, and everything can be automated, that could be pretty good. We are now in orbit around Cili, and I'm currently plotting a return trajectory. Now I kinda don't want to be like super inclined, so I make a maneuver later. But that causes a few issues of its own, because Olia really wants me to be in its sphere of influence, as you'll soon see later. I sped up this part because it wasn't really interesting. I'd rather have my videos have like more content. If I really wanted to, this video could have been like longer. But I came back from a trip recently, and that's why I kind of been taking a break from uploading videos. I'll try uploading more often. As you can see, if I try to get into the atmosphere, Olia really wants to pull me in. So I just decided to like change my inclination and then wait a bit before burning retrograde, just so Olia doesn't pull me in. I plan on landing on Olia next because it's the only moon of Sanctuary I haven't landed on yet. It's probably the most difficult due to the fact that it has a thick atmosphere, and I believe it's also the largest. It is a very beautiful moon, I'll give you that. I have been there before, but in a different save file. I'm trying not to get stray too far from the lower stage just because we want fireworks. I want to show you guys fireworks. Unfortunately, I didn't get a low enough periapsis, so we ended up aero braking. So I'll just cut to the part where we re-enter the atmosphere. If you watched this far, then thank you very much. We had a little bit of a cracking there. Thankfully, nothing exploded. But if you're watching up to this point, then thank you for sticking around to the end. Not the very end though. We're almost there though. If you're watching this far, then you should like and subscribe, because if you like my videos enough to watch all the way here, then you probably like them enough to be able to like and subscribe. You may notice that we're landing on a mountain, which thankfully doesn't actually seem to be a problem, as you'll soon see. I was a little worried for a sec, but it's actually just completely fine. Now, being the sucker I am for science, I decided to get out and try to grab as much science as I can. I didn't do a science EVA kit thingy, just because I didn't want to waste the time. Now, here we are on the research and development. I decided to get like some bigger fuel tanks and construction parts, just because I want to make a bigger rocket so we can send bigger landers, because we are going to need a big lander for Olia. I also picked up very heavy rocketry and some other stuff, but unfortunately that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and see you later. Bye!